So far the drum patterns that we've been working with have only been 1 bar long, and usually when you're programming drum parts for a song, you want your drum parts to be a bit longer than that. So to create a drum pattern that's longer inside of this step sequencer, what you can do is go over to the amount of steps here along the top, change that to 32, which in our case would be a 2 bar long clip. You could change this to 64 if you'd like it to be 4 bars long, because there's 16 steps per bar in this case, because they're all 16th notes. So let's just go back down to 32. So it's a 2 bar long clip. And then you could program your drum pattern like normal. Then let's add in our snare. And then when you get to the end of the first section, the first 16 steps, use the right button to move over to the second part of your drum pattern. So I'll just press this button, and you can see now that the focus has changed down to the software. This bar has moved over, and the pads have also changed over and are now blank. So let's go ahead and just add a kick drum pattern. Something like that, and then we could add in those kicks, maybe remove that one. And then now we have a longer drum pattern. And don't forget to elongate our sequence here, so we'll just move the loop over and move the pattern clip over so that it lasts 2 bars. And now it sounds like this. So that's how to create patterns that are longer than 1 bar. Again, as I said previously, if you wanted to make it even longer, if you wanted to make it 3 bars or 4 bars, you could just go into the software, select this drop-down menu, and choose one of the options from this menu. So for now, we can just go ahead and change that back to a 16 bar pattern. And then we could just remove these notes quickly. And then let's say I wanted to make a quick 30-second note hi-hat pattern that was faster than the notes we have. So right now we can only make a 16th note hi-hat pattern because that's what our grid resolution is set to. But if I wanted to change that, I could just go to my hi-hat and go to this menu where it says 1/16 and change this to 32. And you'll see this now put these as 30-second notes, and it has 16 30-second notes for this section. So if I was to load up hi-hats on all those notes, we also got our accents here, so we could remove those. So just press Shift and then press the pads again. So now if I was to play that back, we'd have really fast 30-second note hi-hat patterns. And the rest of our steps function just like before. So if I was to go up and to create a kick pattern, these are still the same resolution as before. So we go in, add a snare, and play that back. So that change that we made has only affected the hi-hat pattern. So this enables us to program really fast hi-hats, but to keep the rest of our sequence the same so that we can still program these slower drum beats. The hi-hat pattern, because it's only half as long, will just repeat and loop back on itself. So you can see right here that there's no notes, but everything still loops back on itself whenever we have this playing back. So that's the pattern editor sorted on the Atom controller. And there's also a few additional quick controls that I want to cover in the sequencer menu that aren't a part of the Atom, but they'll help quite a bit when you're creating patterns. And that's the swing control on the top menu here. The swing setting is used to adjust the timing of your drum sequences so you have more of a shuffle and live feel. So let's go ahead and take that pattern that we have right now, which sounds kind of robotic by itself. So it's not very live or very interesting. And then we could go ahead and increase the swing amount quite a bit. Let's just do 100% swing here. So a lot of swing. And then whenever I play this back now, you could really hear that it's adjusting the timing quite a bit of those different sections. So the start time of the hi-hat is changing as the sequence is playing back. And if we were to move this down to something like 30%, for example, which is more value that you would use on an actual track, it sounds like this. So you can hear those hi-hats have a bit more shuffle, and also the kick fill at the end is a bit more shuffled and interesting. So by combining the shuffle controls with all the sequencing features discussed in the previous videos, it'll give you a wide variety of drum and percussion parts, and will help make everything sound a bit more lively and interesting. So combining some of this shuffle on everything, and also the accent notes with the normal notes, it'll give you more interesting drum patterns. So even though you can't adjust the swing value from the controller directly, it's something you'll want to be aware of in the sequencer. And if you did want to control that from the Atom, you could always map that to one of the quick controls on the controller. There's also additional features on the pattern editor, but for this video, I just wanted to focus on the Atom controller and how it can control the pattern editor and the Impact XT drum machine. So that's all for this video. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.